And I started to think about, well, what would a life be like if I truly believed that?
Hi, I'm Dr. Jodi Richardson, and this is Well, Hello, Anxiety. In a world that often moves too fast, we're here to pause, breathe, and understand anxiety together. Each episode will explore practical strategies, share honest conversations, and uncover the science behind anxiety and well-being, all while creating a space where it's okay to not be okay. Let's continue this journey together. Welcome back to part 2 of my conversation with Fleur Marks. Oh goodness, if you have not listened to part 1, you can join us now for part 2 and then go back, or you can go back and then join us for part 2. But there's so much more we want to talk about. Fleur has written an incredible book called The Overachiever's Reset, A Better Way to Succeed Without Losing Yourself. I've taken so much from it. Fleur's story is extraordinary. We've all got something that we can take from her experiences, which is so kind and generous to share with us. So, Fleur, thank you for sticking around and joining me for a part 2.
Oh, it's so wonderful to keep going. I love this.
For the people that are listening and thinking, gosh, I know I'm struggling, but I don't, things aren't bad enough for them to have to stop. What would you say to the listener who's thinking, I know I could do with a bit more of a break. I know I could take better care of myself, but it can wait.
Mm. Don't leave it too late, that break. Uh,
Mm.
you matter.
Mm.
And as my daughter said to me, if you're not self-full, you can't be selfless. And so being really intentional about what and how you show up for you, I think is really important. And we've all got stuff, right? You don't need to have a health crisis or, that we all struggle. It's what makes us human. And knowing that in that struggle, that often is the gold, that messy part of life where you might be wondering if there's a better way. And yes, you might not be having a health challenge, but you might be sitting there getting to the end of the week and going, I don't even remember. It was a blur. And you're not enjoying, this is it. Life is now. This is your best life now, and being present to the moment now and letting go of all those worries and the things that are weighing you down, and just showing up and doing your best is enough.
Mm.
But being strategic about rest, making, if you're feeling depleted, asking yourself each morning, what's one thing I can do to fill my cup today? Really simple. What's one thing that's going to light me up and make me feel, for those of us that have had a depression journey or have had some mental health challenges, just really, what can I do within my limits, and being realistic about the limit that you're operating within, whether it's, depression, physical, whether it's just there's so much load. What can I really do to take care of me in this, and not leaving yourself to last?
It's such good advice. And I know that part of the transformation I think you've been, if that's the right word to use, that you've been through is becoming more comfortable at just being. And
Mm.
you wrote about the tea ceremony, and I mean, I can relate. Like I sort of often feel like I should be doing something. And you wrote about this tea ceremony, and I wonder if you could share with the listeners
Sure.
what that experience was like, and how you came to eventually be able to embrace some quiet time. I'd love you to share more about that.
Sure. So, first of all, I struggle to meditate. I have a very busy brain. I'm also medicated with steroids, so that doesn't help. And I live in the wellbeing mecca of Byron Bay, where I have the fortunate opportunity to be exposed to some incredible wellbeing places or opportunities. And so I heard about the way of tea, and there's a place called Cloud Hidden in Byron that, by its name is about, if you think about when you get in a plane and you get up above the clouds, that there's this beautiful blue sky. And it's about settling the noise, the inner noise and the outer noise too. And so there's a practice, and it's like a gym membership in Byron where you sign up and you can go for multiple sits of tea, and it's on a tatami mat. It's with a tea master. You do 5 rounds of tea. There's beautiful music that plays over that hour. and you sit with, between 6 to 18 people in a room. No one speaks to each other. I've sat with all these people for years now. I wouldn't have a clue what their names are. I've never spoken a word to them. Yet in that space, it's a very safe space. And some days I sit down in that room and my brain is so busy. I feel like I've got 27 people in my head and I can't settle. Other days I go in there and I can drop in and my call to presence, and then I can really just calm my farm a bit and allow what really matters to recalibrate, to get that perspective back. And so even in writing the book, I'd often sit for tea and try and figure out, what am I trying to say in this chapter? Or if there's something I'm battling with in my life, and I'd go and sit for tea. Or my sister died of COVID, and so I had to sit and grieve in that room and really release the sadness and sit with some of my feelings. So being able to, grieve, lots of people cry in the room, it's absolutely fine. And so it's a space that you can really hold yourself and tend to that inner part of you. So for me, the action of having tea is something's happening. So I'm not sort of like completely fearful of being on my own and trying to
Mm.
meditate and deal with the thoughts. So it's changed my life. It's definitely changed who I am and how I show up. And if I don't go for tea, I notice I'm more reactive. I'm not as considered, I'm not as clear. So it's just a practice of creating space to let the clouds settle and the blue
Mm.
sky come forward. And that can be, it doesn't have to be what I do, that just works for me. Everyone can find their own way to get that space where they just let everything settle, the noise just dials down for a moment, and you can check in with your true self and that part of you that needs to be nurtured and tended to and held, and with all the facets of our life.
Mm. And it is what you just said is so beautiful. I love the way of tea. I'm on the Mornington Peninsula in Victoria, so I don't know that we have anything like that.
Check it out.
But yeah, I'll be checking out Cloud Hen.
Cloud
Yeah,
hidden.
Cloud
There's
Hidden.
lots of tea places, ceremonial places now for silent
Yeah,
tea and across Australia, which is great.
yeah. It's and one of the things I used to meditate a lot when I was coming through depression, twice a day for 20 minutes. I didn't have kids.
Wow.
So I know it was a real
That's a
commitment, but
lot.
I was very much like, okay, you tell me what I can do to get better and I'll do it. And it was, well, meditation's one of the things I learned. So that was really, really special. But sitting quietly and starting to learn to just settle and to just be and to just pay attention to something, whether that's your breath or the warmth of the tea in your hands or the music that you're listening to or the connection of your body with the chair that's holding you. It 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 can feel like a lot for a person who's never kind of like allowed themselves to stop. And so if you're thinking about trying something and just the idea of just settling and just having that time appeals to you and it's so good for us, then just start really small. And you could start with your own little tea ceremony at home, couldn't you? And just it's just about
Exactly.
having your attention in the moment on whatever it is that you're doing, whatever it is that you're experiencing. And the attention will wander. We notice it wanders and then we bring it back. Like you said, Fleur, sometimes you'd have 27 people in the room with you in your head. Other days but it gets easier with practice and time.
It is a practice skill. And I think when you wobble out and go back to it, you go, oh, that's right, it does work for me. When you fall
Yeah.
off your practice, but it's just having a practice. It can be as simple as making a cup of tea at home and just being really mindful as you pour the water and look at the tea and hold the tea. It's sort of like, really allowing your senses to just be. And yeah, whatever practice, it can be 5 minutes, it could be 60, it doesn't really matter. It's really just the consistency of it to allow you to just step back from the noise in your head and outside.
Yes, yes. One of the things that I read in the book that I just loved, and I think that the reason, we won't be talking about kind of what underpins this drive for achievement and overachievement, but one of the things that you wrote about, which really struck a chord with me, was when you arrived at this conclusion that and this understanding and belief that you've done enough, you have enough, you are enough. And your invitation in the book was to, after having read that sort of passage, was to just try it on, just to see how that sits with you. And I've been sitting with that in the days leading up to recording with you, and it's really shifted something in me. And I'd love if you can talk to our listeners, because I know that there are a lot of listeners, who are sort of thinking, I relate to this on a lot of levels, but I've got this drive that's beyond me that keeps me moving to do more, to achieve more, to fulfill this definition of success that I have in my mind. So if someone who kind of understands intellectually that, yes, I have all I need to be able to slow down a little bit. We're not saying give up your job and retire and,
Absolutely
don't be
not.
doing that.
Keep achieving.
No way. We've got lots to do. What would you say to them if they start to sort of think about maybe bringing a little bit of this kind of thinking into their day?
Well, for me, it started with playing with the idea, is what it sounds like you've been doing, is just sort of ruminate, sitting with it, almost fantasizing. What would my life really be like if I truly believed I was enough, I'd done enough, and I have enough? How different would my life be? So it sort of started for me to become a filter as to once I sat with it, and also I noticed that there was this little shift, which might be what you're starting to sense, of almost excitement or lightness or something a little bit bubbly or sparkly from within. And it was because I'd spent so much of my life being driven by this belief, which sits with many overachievers, is that I'm just not enough. I've got to keep achieving to prove that I'm worthy. And that's on me to really work with it. So, yes, the story of origin stuff and all that goes with it. But the thing for me was when I started to play with that idea and actually give myself permission, like even going into, like, I'd find myself over preparing for something and trying to make it awesome, then I'd actually go, you've done enough now. Why don't you just, or if I thought I was going to a room where I might be judged or people might not like me, God forbid, that I would actually go, you're enough already as you are. And I have this saying I say to myself whenever I feel that inner belief start to push me into the overdrive. I say to myself, I love you whether you succeed or fail. And that just started to soften something within me, and that pusher within. And I started to think about, well, what would a life be like if I truly believed that? And for me, it was getting out of believing that working 12 hours a day was a definition of success. Actually, creating the impact and working less was what was going to work for me. And if I believed I was enough, really, and I had to do a lot of self-compassion and self-love work and self-acceptance work. I had to own who I am and be really clear about what my strengths and superpowers are, but also about what gets in the way and what I need to constantly work on and what I may or may not want to change. And so it was that enoughness feeling, which has taken lots and lots of work, and with my therapist as well, but just really permission giving that, as I am, I'm enough and I've done enough. And because it can be quite an addictive thing trying to do more or achieve more, help more people, even with what I'm doing now, that if my book helps, one person, that's enough. Rather than
Yes.
trying to have this, worldy goal, I'm going to try and change 50,000 lives or whatever. It's like, no, just one person, that's
Mm.
enough. And so, I have the saying sometimes when I get into the overdo mode is enough already, done enough, call it, that's enough.
Yeah.
Like I just always had to whack myself back into to remembering that you don't need to keep pushing and going. It's that as you are a magnificent work in progress. There's always work to be done, yet you're enough as you are, and you're magnificent in that. So that's been my kind of shifter for me. I don't know how that lands with you.
Oh, it's just beautiful. Yeah, what you said before, you used a few you used a few adjectives, and the one that sort of struck a chord with me was lightness.
Mm.
This lightness, and even last night, the weirdest thing happened with me last night. I had a great day. I'd been to the gym and I'd done lots of work at home, and then I was taking the kids here, there, and everywhere. and I started to feel really unwell about
Mm.
5:30, and I was supposed to be on the basketball court at 8:30. And I took my daughter to singing, and I sat in the car on my laptop for the hour she was in singing, and thought, oh, my pants are too tight, like I feel sick. Like, I think when I get home and I take off, whatever I'm wearing, I contemplated taking them off in the car, and I thought the better of
I
it.
did that even.
and and you know what? I felt like by the time I got home, it was after 7. The game started at 8:30, and I just I felt so unwell. I thought I might actually be sick, and I just realized, even when I, had a shower and just kind of tried to freshen up, and I felt terrible letting down the team. I felt terrible because I basically just had to jump in the WhatsApp group and say, I am so sorry. I'm just not going to make it to the
Mm.
game. And you know what popped into me? Because I fear that they're going to think badly of me, that I've let the team down, and they're amazing women, and I'm sure that's not the case, but this is in my head.
Mm.
And you know what came to my mind? I am enough.
Mm.
I am looking after myself. This is me saying I can't do it. I'm not well enough. And that idea of I am enough kind of jumped, because I've just been playing with it the last few days, and it was that was the end of it. It kind of helped me put a line under it, and I thought it is what it is.
Mm.
Um, and I can't change it, and it's only a C grade women's local community basketball game. It's not the end of the world. And so, yeah, this part of the book has that particularly kind of stuck with me, because I think we want to, not all, some of us want to do all and be all and, achieve all. But it's just like, just coming back to that center and that grounded idea of, well, I've got great things I want to do in my life, in my work. Absolutely. I'm not rolling over. But if I do none of that, I'm still okay.
Mm. How can, and it's a long game, right? Like you'll be at the
Mm.
next game. It's
Yeah.
and if you'd showed up and pushed through in that game not well, one, you may not have performed as well as you would have liked. So you would have beat yourself afterwards for not doing as well. And also there's something empowering about going, it's okay to take care of me in this moment. This is what matters right now. And
Mm.
those people who are in your team will know how awesome you are as a human and that you're not someone who's going to let them down. Yet the narrative that's running pretty fast in our head at that point. And so it's just really that permission giving
Yeah.
that it's okay. You don't need to, it's not worth it. It's at the cost of whenever success or trying to achieve or show up is at the cost of you. That's when you've sort of tipped into what is not a healthy way of operating or achieving or doing whatever it is. So yeah, I think it's just really noticing when, and you'll notice it after if you did go to that game last night, there'll be you know, a regret moment where, or you might end up paying the price that you're really sick today and you might not be able to show up for our chat. Like it could have had other impacts, but we just don't think about that in the moment.
That's exactly right. And I've done 3 recordings today, and I was
Mm.
lying in bed last night, literally kind of like holding my stomach, just thinking, what on earth is going on? It was so weird, because I woke up this morning feeling fine. And just sort of lying in bed last night thinking, oh my gosh, I hope I feel better. And knowing that, like, I went to bed like at 8:30. Like, one of my friends from basketball messaged me after the game and said, how are you? And I messaged her back today. But I just really wanted you to know that you know, I always try to think, one book, one podcast episode, one TED talk that you watch, or one conference, seminar that you listen to, that if you can take one thing and kind of just bring it into your own life in a way that fits with you, then that's such a win. And that's what I'm, one of the things I'm taking from your book. But my last question to you before we finish up is what is success look like to you now? How do you define success? Because I know it's very different to how you used to.
What your listeners don't know is I've also just had another cancer
Mm.
journey in the last 12, 14 weeks. So pretty fresh. So I've had to check in with that definition of success to make sure it's still valid. And for me, it's, any day that I can get out of bed and put my feet on the ground, I'm already winning at this point in my juncture. The other thing for me is really about I'm really clear on what matters most to me, and that is being present to my loved ones. It's about doing what I love. I'm still achieving, but doing it in a way where I am able to take care of me on the way of that. And for me now, self-care is not an optional extra. It's a part of what I know I need to do in order to sustain the pace of what I want to achieve or what I want my life to be. I also know what works for me. So for me, it's making sure that I fill my cup with things that bring me joy, and choosing, being conscious about joy being a part of my everyday, if not every week. So always celebrating the moment. And I think the other thing for success for me is to just own who I am and be okay with that. Not
Yeah.
try to effort to be something I'm never going to be, and really sitting with that. And then also accepting that I am in a sick body, and that body of mine is going to continue to be my master. And I've tried to get my mind and my body to work as one rather than two separate entities. So I really check in with my body, I check in with my mind, and I reset constantly when I wobble out of because I am, someone who loves shiny, gets distracted, takes on more, always says yes. So I'm still going to keep reworking. I keep reliving my own lessons all the time. And so for me, it's that real self-awareness, but also the kindness that comes with it's okay, just reset. Here you are, wobbled off again, back on track. You know what matters, you've got a plan, you know what success looks like. And I also, love fashion and being able to, do nice things. And so all of that is part of my success. But does it really matter? Not really. What matters to me is being in a well body, being able to show up to live the life I really want, to have the people I love and to be present to them and keep the connection. I've got adult children, and beautiful fur babies, and also a beautiful family and lots of great friends. And so for me, it's being able to show up in those moments and be with them and present to them, and still be able to take those quiet moments to allow myself to rest and restore and recalibrate, and then also to show up in room and help leaders figure it out, or overachievers figure it out. And that to me fills my cup and gives me even more energy and drive and sense of fulfillment. So I'm happier. In short, I'm happier than I've ever been, despite probably being sicker than I've ever been right now.
Yeah.
Uh, and so that fulfillment, that contentment, and it's all comes down to taking it a day at a time.
Mm. Oh, beautifully said, Fleur. And honestly, I'm so grateful to you for being so open and for helping all of us to understand more about the journey that you're on, so that we can learn from it and think about kind of how we are living our own lives, and maybe some changes we can make, what we can tune into, and how we can take care of ourselves to really live to live life every day, and not just to be kind of looking to the next thing and chalking up the successes and the achievements and feeling like that's kind of like, the scoreboard for us. So I just want to say a huge thank you for joining us, and tell us about your book. Congratulations. It's such a joy, and it's just such a delight to publish a book and bring it to the world. Where can listeners get a copy of your incredible book, The Overachiever's Reset, A Better Way to Succeed Without Losing Yourself?
So it's online at Booktopia and Amazon and all good online bookstores, as well as in store. So pick your favorite bookstore. It should be there. I hope it's there. And it's also at all the airports. So it's kind of everywhere. Otherwise, feel free to jump on my website, fleurmarks.com.au. And on there, I've also got some free exercises you can do to help you reset or help you figure out some of what we've talked about today as well.
Oh, brilliant. Okay, well, we'll put that all those details in the show notes. So, Fleur, thank you so much for joining us. It's been just such a joy talking with you today.
As with you, and I would love to hear if any of your listeners do buy the book. Please drop me a note. Let me know how it lands for you. And thank you for holding space for me. It's been wonderful to get to know you.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you. Thank you for sharing this time with me on Hello Anxiety. Remember, understanding anxiety is the first step to managing it. Until next time, be gentle with yourself. Take things one moment at a time. Focus on what you can control and know that you are not alone on this journey. If you found value in today's episode, please share it with someone who might need to hear it too. I'm Dr. Jodi Richardson, and I'll meet you right back here next week. When your child or teen is anxious, you can be left wondering, am I doing the right thing? That question is exactly why I created the Anxiety Toolkit for Parents, to give you the reassurance and the practical advice you can actually use to genuinely help. It's a 70-card deck designed to help you understand anxiety, recognise how it shows up in your child, and choose calming, supportive strategies and responses that work. Think of it as my guidance right there in your hand whenever things feel hard. Find your deck at drjodirichardson.com.